Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Tony Talks Get Up and Grow, where I have conversations with inspirational leaders, influencers, and change makers. People that aren't just doing well in life, but are doing good in the world. Those who have come from a place of struggle and have faced their own darkness and their own demons and now have overcome, and they're doing the same by sharing their stories with other people. Today, I have the pleasure of hosting another friend of mine, certainly someone who I met not long ago. Chris Rausch is I think I'm saying his name right. I'll have him correct me when he comes on. And he's got a talk show. He's got a podcast. He's a speaker. He is the No Excuses Unstoppable coach. And he's got a great show, and he's got a great story, and he's got tons of wisdom to share. He's, like I said, he's a keynote speaker. He's a trainer. He holds retreats, and he's a facilitator for events. And I think he's already in the green room. So let's bring him in. It is the one and only. Wait, here he is.
The one and only.
Chris Rausch. Am I saying that right?
Yep, Christopher Rausch.
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 There you go.
Mr. Kickass, Mr. Unstoppable. I'm here. Yes, ladies and gentlemen. How you guys doing?
Listen, if I was any better, I'd be twins. How you doing?
You did not just say that. I swear to God, I say that all the time. That's true. I said if I was doing it, I'd be twins, and they're like, two of you? And I'm like, I know.
The same thing I said. Some people might enjoy it. My wife would go crazy over it, but
dude, I knew it. That's awesome.
Oh, that is too great. That is something I've been saying for years.
That's super true.
Welcome to the show. Thank you so much for coming on, spending a little bit of time and sharing a little bit of your story and some of your knowledge with us. So I like to always start the show by just saying, tell us a little bit about you. Who are you? What got you here? Oh, by the way, before you go, I'm just going to ask everybody that's on there, please share this link, tag some friends. We're going to drop some knowledge right now. So share this with your friends and make sure that you get other people involved. And this is a conversation with Chris and myself, but it's also an interactive conversation with you as we are streaming on Facebook and YouTube. So by all means, ask your questions, make your comments, and we'll engage as much as we possibly can. And it's all yours.
Thank you, Tony, so much for having me on your show. I'm truly honored. Super stoked. And my story, wow, that is an interesting question since it can go all over the place in different facets. But essentially, my journey started being born to a mother with various psychological disorders, drug dependencies, alcohol dependencies, and a healthy respect for men. Let's just put it that way. My biological father was already married with another family, so I never got to know him. So I grew up with my mom and my 7-year-old older sister in Inglewood here in Southern California, a very not so nice part of Los Angeles, and grew up with a rat or a roach infested apartment and just a lot of interesting stuff going on in the first part of my life. A lot of desertion, a lot of uncertainty, things going on. And when we got out of that place and started getting into a middle-class family surrounding in Anaheim, California, things changed. My mom's boyfriend came to live with us, and there was violence and domestic abuse and personal violence against me. Went through school being bullied and just really had a very lonely and challenging childhood, to be quite honest. And it wasn't until I turned 17 that I changed my life around. And after being involved in drugs and shoplifting and gangs, and oh, by the way, I was a seventh grade homeless person living in the backseat of a station wagon for 4 years. In between that time, I had a gun put to my head because I didn't buy a pack of cigarettes from a guy who thought I would smoke the cigarettes that he stole, but I didn't. And so now I turned about 17. I realized that, wow, if I don't start doing stuff differently in my life, I'm going to wind up either dead or in jail. And I just realized, and I had to make some decisions, and I changed the trajectory of my life. And in the ensuing years, wound up getting my master's degree, wound up purchasing 2 houses, and wound up getting into speaking and coaching because back in those days, I really wanted to show the kid that I wanted to show the kids that no matter how much you're bullied, how much you're abused, how much you're victimized, how much you're told that you're stupid, that yes, you can get out of this and that you can have a super kick-ass life. And so I got into speaking, I got into coaching, and just really got fired up about helping people truly become unstoppable, truly become who it is that they want to become, not who it is that everybody else wants them to become. And just really truly create a kick-ass unstoppable life without any excuses and just being themselves. It's just, yeah, that's my journey in probably the shortest time I've ever said it.
Oh, awesome, man. Listen, it's important to share our journeys, right? I tell people all the time that our stories are our stories, but they're not our stories to keep. They're our stories to share, because it's in us sharing our stories that we can have other people understand that the people that are struggling through it now. Actually, it was my wife that pointed out this quote to me, where we've all heard the story that the man at the top of the mountain didn't land there, right?
Mm-hmm.
The reality of it is, the man that climbed the mountain should share his story, because the story of his climb could be somebody else's survival guide that is going through that same climb. So that's why I love when people share their stories like you just shared. So to give people hope, give people inspiration, let people know that there's a way out. There's something else on the other side. So many people think that, oh, well, this guy's a speaker. Oh, he's got this show, or he's super successful. He's at the top of his game. He's a CEO of this company. He's this, he's that. He must have been born with that silver spoon. That is not necessarily the case certainly in a lot of cases it is, but in many cases it's not. And, really, this show is really about highlighting people like that, again, it's those influencers, those change makers, the people that are doing good in the world, not just doing well in life, right? And that are giving back by sharing their stories and sharing their knowledge and everything else. So again, I commend you for that. Thank you for sharing your story. There's so many people out there that are going through the same thing. I've certainly had a lot of dark things happen in my past. And before the show, we were chatting for a minute, and what did I say? It's those who have been through the dark that usually have the most light to give, right? That have the light to shine. So share your stories. I mean, I encourage, and certainly right now with everyone being home with this situation that we're going through, everybody, there is a lot of to be absorbed online, but that's okay. There's always room for more, because who you're going to reach may not be who I'm going to reach, who Chris is going to reach, who Tony's going to reach, or who Scott Martin. What's up, brother? Thanks for jumping on. I owe you some stuff. Scott, I had Scott on yesterday, man. If you haven't watched the episode yesterday, we're doing Marketing Mondays with Scott Martin. Amazing. You want to talk about outside the box? You got to get on with Marketing Mondays with Scott Martin with very cool, with Groundswell Marketing. It's amazing. So again, thanks for sharing your story, and again, share with us how maybe how you came through that, and share us what you do now, and how you're changing lives and impacting lives.
Sure. Awesome, Tony. Thank you. Yeah. And I want to back up what you just said, is the fact that sometimes people are embarrassed by their stories. They don't want to go back in the closet and say, wow, I was victimized, or I was this or that. And it took me a long time to actually be honest with my story, because I was so embarrassed of being homeless and digging in trash cans and having a guy at Burger King give me the leftover food so I could eat. That was embarrassing. But you're right. That's the hero's journey. I just watched that documentary not too long ago. My coach sent it to me, and it was such an amazing situation, because what got me out of that situation, Tony, was the fact that I had to change my perspective to where I was at and what I was doing, and why I was doing it. Both of you and I know, if you have a big enough why, you have a big enough how. So after having the gun put to my head, after being attempted carjacking, drugs, failed to commit suicide twice, I sat on the stairs of a pretty disgusting motel in Southern California, and I watched the drug dealing going on. I watched the prostitution going on. I watched the cops going in and out. And, I knew up to that point for 17 years, I'd endured a lot of pain. And I wanted out. I wanted away from that pain. I could have easily become a drug addict or an alcoholic, or successfully killed myself. But at that point, I had to sit there and say, who is the most important person in this world right now? And we're brought up the fact that, not to be selfish and to take care of others, and not to be stingy, and to share, and to make sure everybody else is taken care of, and all that other stuff. And that's how I grew up. I grew up being a servant from the very early on point of my life. Christopher, do this, Christopher, do this, Christopher, you're stupid. And so sitting on the stairs that night, I realized that if I did not get out of that place, I was going to wind up dead or in jail. And so coincidentally, I had a friend of mine that lived there, and this is going to sound crazy, but we used to do telemarketing out of his apartment in Huntington Beach. And one of the bedrooms was set up as a telemarketing place, and we would go in there and we'd actually make decent money selling roofing appointments. And so shortly after I had that conversation with myself on the stairs, we go to work, and we go in, and the guy, his name was Norman, and he says, well, guys, I got good news and I got bad news. And I'm like, well, I've had enough bad news to last a lifetime. What's going on? He says, well, The bad news is I'm moving to Dallas, Texas, and in a couple of weeks. So your jobs are going to be done. But hey, Cindy, but what I'm going to do is, because I know you and Robert want to get out of that disgusting place, I'm going to leave you my apartment in Huntington Beach with a down payment. I'm just going to sign it over to you guys so you can just take over making the monthly payments. And it was like $850 a month in Huntington Beach. And me and Robert looked at each other and we're like, oh my God, dude, we could get out of that place. Because we were worried about getting shot when we were two white guys in a bad neighborhood, long hair, everything. And we're like, man, we could do this. We could get Carlos and Rambo and your brother, and we could do this in a 2-bedroom apartment. And I went back to the motel and I told my mom, who was I did not understand the term codependent. And I went back and I thought, after 17 years, my mom's going to tell me. And I had this vision in my head. She's going to, Christopher, I want you to go. I want you to get out of here. I don't want you to wind up on the street. I don't want you to wind up dead or in jail. I've screwed up your life enough. And the God's honest truth, she called me every name in the book. She told me I was selfish. She told me I was an asshole, told me all sorts of things, hated me. I mean, said everything she'd ever said to me in my life and more in one spot. And I still stood my ground. I said, Mom, I love you, but I'm not going to stay here. I can't stay here any longer. I can't do that anymore. So I left the motel, but I never left her. And my ex-wife, who was still a great friend of mine, can attest to that. Every night I would go back to the motel and I'd give her some money, or I'd help her take care of the animals or do something to keep her going. But after a while, she got stronger. And as she got stronger, I got stronger, and I just started getting into school and had some amazing people around me. And that's the other key, is having the right people around you. When I was hanging around all the derelicts and all the drug dealers and all the party animals back in the 80s, I wasn't going anywhere. I was partying. And I said, I'm going to go back to school after dropping out in the 7th grade. I said, I'm going to go back to school and get my GED. My quote unquote friends told me I was stupid. What are you going to do, Mr. Smarty Pants? Ho, ho, ho. And all that stuff. And I just had to slowly break away. And that's where I got to where I'm at now, because I just keep making those decisions that aren't selfish. They're self-love. And the fact that I have a dream to pursue, I have a reason to be here for this journey. I did not go through all that stuff just to be miserable and a victim. That's right. So that's why I preach and teach today, is like, no matter what you've been through, just change the perspective about that and realize that happened for you and not to you. I mean, wouldn't you agree? I mean, I know you agree, because I know who you've taught under.
Dude, yeah, you're absolutely.
That guy is. I've got his books all up in here. Awaken the Giant Within was amazing. I mean, Tony Robbins. If I ever get to meet him one day, I'll probably burst into tears and thank him. That's the guy. His tapes and everything have just changed my life.
Yeah, I've had that moment. I've had the opportunity to do that twice already. So he's an amazing mentor, amazing person to be affiliated with and to work with and to learn from. So yeah, you're speaking my language, which is his language, right? Life is happening for you, not to you. Even though at times it feels like life is happening to you, but it's really happening for you. And many times you don't realize that it's happening for you until much later. Right? Because nobody likes to go through pain, but pain forces you to grow. Just like going to the gym, you're exercising, you're doing what you've got to do. It hurts, but you're building muscle, you're growing, you're becoming a better version of you along the way. And sometimes, in order for us to appreciate what we have and where we are in life now, you need to have contrast, right? And the contrast comes from those dark moments, from the difficult times. So it's perspective. It's absolutely perspective, right? Perspective on how you look at life, and what does that look like for you? You can look back, and the things that happened in your life, they can make you either bitter, or they can make you better. And the choice really is yours, right? The choice is yours. Amen. Change is always going to happen. Change is inevitable. Bad shit's going to happen. Growth is optional.
Mm-hmm. So, we could actually end this interview right now, Tony, by just showing my tattoo.
Do it. Hold on. What does it say? Hold on. Let me go full screen on that. What doesn't kill me makes me stronger. Absolutely.
What doesn't kill you only makes you stronger. If you have that mindset, ladies and gentlemen, and I know, Tony, you speak to that. The fact, if you realize that what doesn't kill me makes me stronger, everything's happening for me instead of to me. What am I supposed to get out of the situation that's going to make me stronger and better? What is it that I'm supposed to learn? What is it that I'm supposed to go toward? Because so often in life, we run from the pain. We run from the uncomfortable situations. We run from the uncomfortable conversations. But if you go to those and realize those are a part of your journey too. And if you look back, if I ask you to say, have you learned from your mistakes? Most people say yes. Some people say no. But if you learn from your mistakes, then why not go make more?
Yeah.
Right. If you want to get stronger, you want to become better, you want to take these times that we're going through at the time of this taping, it's COVID, the pandemic and everything. And so many people are either going to wallow in a corner and watch 17 hours of Netflix every day, or some people are going to be jumping on these lives that we've been doing and networking and connecting and raising the bar and raising the vibrational energy of what it is that we can do together to get through this. Life is pretty amazing. I mean, I was just telling my wife the other day, I'm like, in the time I left a corporate career of 26 years, I was a corporate guy for 26 years. I was in my zone of excellence there, not my zone of genius, but I was in my zone of excellence as a leader. And I left that for 26 years last November and free fall, just like, okay, I love coaching. I love speaking. We have to do this. I can't do both. And since all of this has happened since November, I've taken on more coaching clients. I'm meeting more people. I'm doing more shows. I'm more comfortable in my own skin. My life seems amazing. And sometimes I feel guilty because I know so many people are going through pain, but that's exactly why I show up every day in a video or a post or a live, just to bring everybody that same enthusiasm. Because yes, we're going to get through it. Yes. Is it going to suck? And is it going to be tough? Yes, of course it is. But the beauty is you're going to look at this 2 years from now and go, holy crap, I'm so glad I went through that, because look at what I did. I started a business. I changed a relationship. I stopped doing a job that I hated every single day of my life that I got fired from finally. Whatever it might be, these are really cool times. I mean, yes, they're stressful, but we can get through them.
Yeah. Listen, the reality of it is, sometimes we think things happen and they knock us off course. Many times we get knocked onto our course because we were off course in the first place. And sometimes, and I'm not encouraging people to go out and intentionally make mistakes, but the mistakes that happen, don't let them rule you, because, unlike that writing on your arm, your past is a bruise, not a freaking tattoo. Right? You don't have to wear your mistakes on your face like a tattoo. Right? Nobody knows what you've gone through. And if you're going through it, who cares? I've got a great friend of mine. I don't know if you know him, Jason Cisneros. But he started a group called the Misfit Nation, right?
Whoa.
And
no way, dude. That's crazy. I call my followers the Misfits for life. That's crazy.
All right, so he's the king of the Misfit Nation. And what he says is that, I got to introduce you to him. He's an amazing guy, great guy to have on your show too. And talk about similar stories, right? Because of going through shit and coming out on top. And now he was at the point that he owned 24 companies, 26 companies. I mean, he's top of his game. Amazing guy. He's actually a business consultant. He has a business consulting firm now. He sold most of his business. Anyway, long story short, he talks about how we all make mistakes, and we've all done bad things in some cases, and we've all made mistakes. The idea is to apologize, make amends if you could, and move on and learn from them and make amends. Go now and go forth and do good. Right.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's Maya Angelou's line is, do the best you can with what you know. And then when you know better, you do better. Right.
Yes.
So you have to grow beyond that. And I think that's what we're all here for. So we're all, at one point or another, we're all misfits. Right. So just don't wear your mistakes as a badge.
No,
they're a bruise. Let it go, and let it help you grow,
Yeah. It is. It's so true, Tony. And I love what you said about that, because when you think about, again, a perspective shift is that problems, I tell my coaching clients, problems are considered opportunities. And they're like, what do you mean? I'm like, a problem really is an opportunity. If you come to my staff used to come to me, and one of my rules was like, if you come to me with a problem or an opportunity, you should probably come to the table with a couple of recommended solutions so we can work on this together. And it kind of helped them take ownership of it. It's like, you know what, Chris, you're right. It isn't a problem. It's an opportunity because we've never had it before. So it's an opportunity to identify what it is that we need to do in the situation to make it better, to improve it. What resources do we have? How can we become more resourceful? So I invite you guys that are watching this and you think about, oh my God, I got all these problems. When you reframe that, and it's not airy-fairy shit. It's like when you reframe it and say, this is an opportunity, then you say, okay, if I had an opportunity to go in business, who would I need on my team to make that opportunity happen? What kind of mindset would I need to make that opportunity happen? I'm not going to make the opportunity happen if I'm in a victim mindset and I'm blaming everybody else but myself for my situation. If you look at that as an opportunity to grow and expand and become stronger, again, all these little tips and nuances that I'll share, and I'm sure Tony's going to share too, they're all designed to carry you forward. That unstoppable, that is not easy. That is just taking every step at a time. Somebody says, what does it mean to be unstoppable? I'm like, and they're expecting this whole sentence. And I'm like, just keep going. When you stop, keep going. Put one foot in front of the other, however you have to do it. And you just keep going, and you learn that it's a journey and that it's here happening for you. because you're meant to do something great. You're meant to do something that is in your zone of excellence. I mean, your zone of genius. You know, most of us operate in this safe zone where we have certainty. And of course, Tony Robbins, I mean, why do we do things? For certainty, or, you know, for pain or for pleasure. The fact that we can't handle uncertainty, so we go to the comforts, you know, the shopping, the food, the drinking, whatever it might be, to ignore the fact that we have these quote unquote problems that we don't want to deal with. But the sooner that we get strong and we deal with them, then it's like me. I'm like, bring it on. What else do we have to do? I mean, now I'm in charge of daddy daycare. And we talked earlier, I was sitting there playing in the sandbox with my son, where before I used to be a director of 4 managers and 25 people. It's just like, this is awesome. You know, you just have to learn to go with the flow and live your life.
Yeah, different points, different phases, right? But I love that, you know, because really they are opportunities, right? They're challenges and they're opportunities for growth. And it really is about perspective. One of the things and I love that you talk a lot about perspective as well. Perspective is important because sometimes when you're looking at a problem and you can't figure it out, sometimes it's just about getting up and literally moving over to the side and looking at it from a different angle, or going from the back and looking forward at it, or from the top or down, and just changing your perspective. One of the exercises I like to do about perspective is I just like to ask a question. What number is that?
What number is that?
Yeah, what number do you see?
69.
No, is it a 6 or is it a 9?
Oh, I don't know. I see 69.
I know. I think it flipped somehow, right? It did. Yeah, because I had it like this. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that's okay.
Well,
that's kind of messed up. Okay, just like that. What number is that? Oh,
wait a minute.
Hold on. I'm not on screen.
I'm like, what am I supposed to? That's funny. Right. You had a 6. I was guessing a number that I couldn't even see.
So that's a 6. Sorry, I forgot that I was off screen. So is that a 6?
Yeah, but the perspective shift could be a 9.
I see a 9.
Could be a G.
Right. So, but what is it? Are you right or am I right? Right.
Depends on the perspective you have.
It's just a different perspective. You're looking at it from one angle. I'm looking at it from another. We see 2 completely different things.
And I knew it was a 6. That's crazy. You weren't even on camera.
Yeah. Well, I don't know if you saw me down at the bottom. Yeah, I forgot that I was off camera.
No, I couldn't. I couldn't see you down at the bottom either.
Yeah. So well then how did you know? Get out of my head, you.
I'm a mind reader.
But it really is about perspective and looking at things as you want. Because I know that things that happen in my life, I would scorn them for years until I started going to Tony Robbins and learning from so many of the different strategies and ways of looking at things and looking at life. And that's when I realized that life has happened for me, right? That I'm in a better place now than I ever would have been had I not had some of those difficult, challenging moments.
So true. So let me turn the tables on you for a second. Because I've talked about the victim mindset. I talked about people being victims or victors. And of course, a victim mindset is going to have a terrible perspective about their situation. From your training and everything you've been involved with your clients, why is it that people choose that victimhood aside from, well, let me just ask you that. Why is it that people choose that victimhood, or do they choose it?
Well, a lot of times it's just easier, because if you blame somebody else, then it's not my fault. If I say it's your fault, you did it to me, then I don't have to own my part in what happened. The reality of it is, it almost doesn't matter what happens. Obviously, there's certain exclusions, but in many cases, things that happen to people because they were in that situation, right? Mm-hmm. Oh, I got shot. That's terrible. What were you doing? What did you happen to be doing? Not everybody gets shot by a stray bullet, right? A lot of people get shot because, well, they're a target. What was your role in that, right? As an example, I know it's a kind of an extreme example, but I say that because I'm just thinking about somebody that I know that got shot by a cop, and he was like, "Oh, I got shot." These guys, well, yeah, you were in a stolen car driving at them.
Hey, yeah, he was a victim. How you doing? How'd you get shot today? Huh? You running from the cops? Okay.
But listen, as a perfect example, he saw himself the victim, and of course, the insurance company saw that as well, and he was compensated. It's a mess. Long story, a very long time ago, and if he's watching, it is what it is. But nevertheless, it's easier to blame someone else, because then you don't have to assume responsibility, because when you assume responsibility, it hurts, right? But that's where the growth lies, yes. Right? When you own your shit, when you own your mistake, that's where the growth lies. That's where you get up and grow, right? The name of the show, Get Up and Grow. You fall down. Everybody falls down. Many people just get up and go. And that's why they keep going through life, just the same old thing. Hey, what's going on, Chris? How's life?
Same old, same old.
Same old shit, different day. Same old, same old. I'm sorry. How's that working out for you, to use your line? Or how can I help? Because the reality of it is they're going through that same old or same old shit because they haven't grown through what they've gone through. They haven't learned the lesson that life was trying to teach them. And it taught them a lesson, but instead of learning the lesson, they said, no, it was your fault. Oh, it happened because of this. Oh, my boss fired me. Well, why did you get fired?
Mm-hmm.
You're not producing? Were you showing up late? Were you, what else was going on? Now, listen, obviously people get fired, erroneously or unjustly. I'm not talking about those people. I'm talking about the average person, the average situation, right? Oh, freaking cop pulled me over, gave me a ticket. Son of a, hold on. Were you speeding?
Yes.
Did you run a red light? Yeah, nobody likes to see the cop car, the cop light, police lights behind you when you're speeding, right?
Mm-hmm.
But you just had an accident, and then it feels great when those lights show up, right?
A little bit, yeah. It's funny you say that because I've had people sit there and say, "Oh my God, dude, I got a ticket today," and I'm like, "Oh, it's going to be so much money." I'm like, "How many times did you run that stop sign and not get caught? How many times did you go down the freeway doing 80 miles an hour and not get caught? Shut up, dude. You knew it was wrong. You got a fine. Shut up." Period.
Yeah, you got caught this time.
Say to people, even myself, I got a ticket like a year ago, and I was like all mad and everything. And I'm like, well, Chris, you just went through a spot. I went through a toll road booth instead of the regular lane, and I was just trying to cut some time, and I got busted. And I told the cop, he goes, "You know what you're doing?" I said, "Yep." I said, "I was trying to save time." I said, "I'm sorry." And I took my ticket and I wrote it and I paid it, and I was like, "Yep."
Yeah, listen. So that's why people don't want to own it, because then they got to own that it was their fault or they participated in. And one of the exercises that I do with people, that I do with clients that are trying to let go of stuff and forgive, one of the parts of forgiveness of anything, and I'm not going to go through the whole thing, that's the conversation for another day. I can certainly, we can talk about it after, but one of the things that I say is that you've got to accept, if you're going to forgive someone for actually, I'll have to say it now, right? So, because otherwise,
Tony, I'm here to learn too, dude. Go for it.
Exactly. That's why these are conversations and not interviews, right? So, I think there's 4 steps to forgiveness, right? First, you gotta forgive the situation. Then you've got to forgive the person that hurt you or did you wrong. And then, just for a brief second, and I say that specifically for a brief second because, if you've been a victim of sexual abuse whether as an adult or as a child, this is a really sensitive situation. But I say still, just for a second, just own the fact, own your part in it. You just happen to be there, wrong place, wrong time. Just own it for a second. You don't have to sit there and own that, but just for a second, so that you can forgive yourself, because every victim blames themselves.
Yes.
Right? Every victim of abuse in that way blames themselves. Right? What did I do? Why, my parents beat me, or my father beat me. What did I do? Why wasn't I good enough? Right?
Yeah. So, maybe I wasn't listening. Maybe I was just being a dumbass and not listening 75 times. Maybe. And I stretched his bullet.
Listen, maybe you did, but what I'm saying is just own the fact that you were there. You got it was a hit and run. You were standing on the corner. Okay, just own the fact that you happened to be standing on the corner. Because if you had taken another 30 seconds, leaving the building or whatever, you wouldn't have been on the corner. You wouldn't have got hit. So just own the fact, own your part in that problem, and then so that you can forgive yourself.
Yes.
And that's how you truly forgive something, because we all know somebody that's forgiven someone, but they're still anchored in that pain. Right?
Yeah, I know a lot of people like that.
Right. And that's because they haven't forgiven themselves. And until they forgive themselves, they say that when you forgive, you set yourself free from whatever was holding you back. But until you forgive yourself, you may have set yourself free from that person, but not from that situation, not from the blame or the guilt that you feel behind that. Some people say, man, if only I hadn't been there, why did I have to, get out of the house at that time? Why did I have to drive down that road? Why did I have to do this? Own it and forgive it.
Yeah. It's all unfolding in front of us. I mean, that's what I've been telling people throughout this time. And thank you for sharing that. That's what I've been telling everybody right this time. Like, I feel like I don't have any control over this. I don't know what's going to happen with that. I'm like, 2 years ago, I was a control freak. I was like in the moment. I wasn't spending time in the moment. I was like, okay, what's plan A, B, C, D, E, F, G after, this COVID thing? How am I going to do this? How am I going to spin that? And I've had to learn through my coaching, who my coach is from New Zealand, Sally Anderson. she had to teach me. She's like, Chris, you don't have any control of these things. These are unfolding in front of you. I'm like, no, I've always been a survivor. And that's something she said. She goes, Chris, you got to stop being in survivor mode. You have to change.
Oh, one of us froze. Which one?
The mode you're operating with in a second. So I've done a lot of things in my life where it has caused me to go back and learn apologies. And I can't remember exactly where I learned it from, but I learned an apology has 3 things. I'm sorry. It was my fault. What can I do to make it better? And that's what I've learned in my life, is to say, okay, listen, admit when you screw up, then you have to be there in order to be present to learn that lesson and to be able to say, hey, listen, I'm sorry. Who I was back then is not the person I am now. And I'm sorry I put that hurt on you, and I apologize for that. I've become a better person. And what can I do to make it better? It's amazing how you can heal yourself, and you cannot have, I know so many people are running around thinking about all the pain in their life and all the misery in their life. And I'm like, how is that working for you? I don't remember a lot of bad things, honestly, Tony. And I'm happy about that, because I let them go. Why hang on to something that happened 25 years ago that I'm embarrassed about because I was drunk or something like that? Yeah. So what? I was 20 years old and I did something. I'm sorry, whatever. But you got to move on. And I think that's one of the keys in this conversation, Tony, is the fact that people need to forgive themselves and have a little understanding. The conditioning process that we go through from 0 to 5, and this better than anybody, that's where we grow our emotional intelligence. That's where we kind of learn things. And when you think about, we're learning them from people who may not be the brightest bulbs in the pack, from our parents and our teachers and society, and whatever else. And so from 0 to 5, we're getting our prefrontal cortex all loaded with stuff. And they're like, okay, this is where I see the world. Okay, let me go out and find more of it. And it becomes that subconscious validation. And it's like, oh, and then we make these agreements with ourselves. Like, oh, I must be this way.
Right.
Stay that way. And it's not, it's just about, again, seeing it from a different perspective, but it's not conditioning.
Yeah. And sometimes you just got to forgive the people for doing something that they didn't know any better, or, forgive them for, or forgetting or unlearning shit that was taught to you by people who didn't know either. Right. And that's what growing is. Growing up is unlearning what you learned when you were small and learning it again, because sometimes what we learned was wrong. Right. Look, I know I grew up, my parents had certain ideas and thoughts, and they, and that's how you grow up. Some people grow up one way and then they turn into another, and hopefully we're all evolving and growing through it. And hopefully we do better with our kids than our parents did with us. Right. Mm-hmm. I say it all the time. One of the lessons that I had in the life with growing up, and life wasn't always easy growing up. We'll just say that without going into the story right now. But I learned how to be. I learned how I should not be, right? I learned how to be a dad by, and not just be a father, but to be a dad.
Yeah.
Right. I learned how not just to be married, but be a husband, be a friend, be a partner. Right. So all those things that happened wrong for us have made us stronger, because the one thing that, there's that saying that says, it's got to stop at some point. The circle of violence has to stop here, or the abuse has to stop there, or the alcoholism or the drug abuse, or, the this or the that, or ignorance, or whatever it is. It's got to stop somewhere. So we've got to own that and take responsibility for it and do our part. So Cindy asks, how do you get out of survivor mode? So you want to take that one?
Sure. What's up, Cindy? How you doing? Thank you for being here today, Cindy. Survivor mode. Ooh. One of the first important aspects of that is to actually identify that you're in it. I did not see, when my coach said you're in survivor mode, I said, no, I'm not. I'm in success mode. She's like, no, you're in survivor mode. So the fact that you have to identify that you are, and it's okay, because we've all had to survive based on our stories. We've had to, get through something, and I'll deal with that later. I'll pick up that mess later. It's kind of like you're hard charging. So you've always been in survivor mode. When you want to get out of survivor mode, you just have to stop, and you have to really, for me, like I said at the beginning of the show, when you have a big enough why, you have a big enough how. And for me, it's the legacy. And that's what I've tied to all my coaching clients. Yeah, you. And make sure that when you have a legacy and you have something to look forward to, and you have a vision of how your life's going to turn out, in each of those moments, you could say, is this something that I'm operating from a survivor standpoint or a thriver standpoint? Is this something that's going to carry me to that legacy or hold me back from that legacy? And I tell people to ask themselves a question. is this getting me closer to or further from my stated goal? So whatever it is that you're trying to do, if you want to live to be 100 and you're about to, eat terrible food 3 days in a row, ask yourself, is this going to get me to where it is that I want to go? And when you start appreciating yourself and you start respecting yourself and you start putting yourself first and not being worried about what everybody else is going to think. What's Cindy doing? What's Cindy? She's taking care of herself now. She's doing her own thing. She's not coming over here and being miserable with the rest of us. Tony, you can espouse to this, and I'll give Stephen Covey the credit for it. Stephen Covey in the 7 Habits of Highly Effective People says, who are your 5 people? If you're hanging around 5 people who are survivors or deadbeats or people who you just sit there and yell and curse at the television, then guess what? You're likely to be like them. But when you surround yourself and you get a kick-ass group of people that got your back and are honest with you and help you grow and call you on your shit when you're doing something that's wrong, you will become a thriver. You won't be a survivor anymore. And you're going to look back and you'll be like, okay, that served me then. Now I want this to serve me. What do you think, Tony?
Listen, I couldn't agree with you more. Growing up, we're about the same age. Growing up, at least we got the same streaks.
Oh yeah. I'm 51. I'm proud of it. 51.
I just turned 48 last weekend.
Well, I'm older than you then. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah. You got a little more white than I do, I guess. Growing up, we always heard birds of a feather flock together. You lie down with dogs and you get fleas, right? Well, the new catchphrase now is you become the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. I actually like to say 6 because I use the analogy of, watching your 6.
Oh, yeah.
You got to watch your 6 and they're watching your 6. So who are the 5 or 6 people? And really, if there's 5, who are the 5 people you're spending time with? You're really the 6th, right? So it is 6.
Yeah, that's true.
And the reality of it is, if you look around your circle, and again, my life's a series of quotes. If you look around your circle and the people that are in your circle aren't supporting you and pushing you and lifting you higher and inspiring you to be and do better, you don't have a circle. You've got a cage. Right?
I love that. That's cool. They're
holding you back. They're holding you down. And that tends to happen because many times out of love, because they're afraid of losing you. So they don't want you to go stray too far or make too much money or do whatever it is that you want to do. So they kind of keep you down. I heard this, and I don't know if it was from Stephen Covey or from someone. Like I said, I'm a student of life, so I'm always learning from this one and listening to that one. I do spend 16 hours a day sometimes watching stuff, but it isn't on Netflix. It's a course, or it's this or it's that. So always learning, right? Perpetual student, student of life. And somebody said, if you hang out with people that make $50,000 a year, chances are you're going to make $50,000. You hang out with people that make $200,000 a year, chances are you'll make $200,000. And it might not be right away. It might be in a year or two. If you hang out with guys that are making $1 million, you'll likely be the 6th. If you hang out with guys that are making $5 million, then you'll likely be the 6th, right? The 5 people. So, that's the way it goes, because we only play up. I don't know if you play pool or if you play tennis or I don't know if whatever it is you do, but you rise to the level of who you're playing with. I think I'm a pretty good pool player.
I saw you have a pool table. I saw that.
Oh yeah. I don't play it often, yeah. But I think I'm a pretty good pool table. But if I'm playing with somebody that isn't that good, my game sucks. When I'm playing with somebody better than me, damn, it looks good. Right. And that's the same thing with life. You've got to raise the bar in your own life, raise your own standards, and raise the standards of the people that you're spending time with. Because when you raise their standards, they force you to raise yours. And together, as they say, tide rises all boats, high tide rises all boats. Be part of creating that tide by raising your standards, raising the bar for the people that you spend time with. This doesn't mean you walk away from your friends. This means you lift them up with you. Those who stay behind choose to stay behind, but be that force for good. Be that force for lifting people up, because the reality of it is you're only going to play at the level of who you're playing with. So if you're playing with small players, you're going to play small. You're playing with big ass players, boy, you're going to do shit. You're going to turn around and say, oh crap, did I just do that? Right.
I know my wife's watching this, so I just want you to know, babe, that's what I'm doing, is what he just said. Yeah. Looking to soar. It's have you seen that video by Steve Harvey? It's called Jump. Have you seen that?
I haven't.
Dude, you got to see that. It's Steve Harvey, the comedian. My coach had sent it to me one time, and she was trying to break, because I'm strong. And she was trying to break my brain for what I was thinking. And so she sends me this 1:51 video by Steve Harvey, totally on his cell phone. And he's like, look, you're going to have to jump. He goes, when you jump, you're going to scrape your back on the sides. You're going to see people soaring, they're flying and they're doing really good. He goes, but you're going to jump. Your back's going to get scratched up. You're going to tumble. You're going to fall. He goes, but your chute will open. He goes, your chute will open. He goes, well, let me tell you something. I'm paraphrasing, but it's an amazing video. He goes, if you don't jump, your chute will never open. And I was just like, holy crap, you got to jump. You got to go through those experiences. And the evidence of my life in the last month and a half of surrendering and being just in flow and just showing up and serving has been amazing. I just got a coaching call, coaching client sleeping in bed this morning. I got a referral from a friend of mine. He goes, hey, I think this girl will be great for you. Message. We got an introductory call tomorrow. And I was just laying in bed. I'm like, this is amazing. But I'm no longer in survivor mode. I'm in thriver mode. I'm like, okay, just do what feels good. Just do what's in the best interest of your mind without being selfish. And you will continue to do that. But the question I have for you, Tony, that people ask me all the time, and you kind of said it, what do we do with those friends who want to hold us back and says, oh, don't do, what are you going to go become a speaker? You're going to become this, you're going to be some fancy guy or whatever. What do you recommend to people to do that? Because I know people struggle with that and they often limit themselves because they don't want to hurt supposedly their best friends or their family. What do you say to them?
So I have a lot to say to that. I'm going to see if I can pick the most appropriate things. I will say that, like I said, sometimes those people are trying to keep you down and hold you down, not because they don't love you, but because they're afraid to lose you. Right? So what I say is you always try to bring them up with you, right? But don't let them hold you down. Don't let them hold you down. One of the talks that I wind up doing a lot of times, sorry, I just had a little visitor over here. I have a dog and he just came up. I'm surprised he didn't jump on me. That's good.
Oh, cool.
My kids usually put him out here. Let's see if you see him. Here you go. Wait, no, there you go.
Animals are my favorite.
And the reality of it is you try to bring them with you, right? You try to involve them and be that person that's going to raise the bar for them as well and encourage them to grow with you. But if they don't grow with you, it's okay. It's okay. You don't have to leave them behind, but that doesn't mean you have to stay where you are, right? You don't have to stay where they are. You can grow and still come back and visit. It's the same thing. Well, I have negative people in my life. What am I going to do? Oh, that negative person's my parents. Sometimes I'm having a conversation with them. I'm like, where did I come from? Right?
So, yeah.
Like, pull a Seinfeld. Who are these people? Right? Because they are negative and I do what I can to bring them out. I even tell them it's like, this is like painful because I help people through this. You guys aren't listening, but anyway, we're not going to go there. But the reality is,
isn't that so hilarious what you do for a living? Then you come back to people and they're just like, yeah. My wife loves it. One time she said, I was trying to say something because before I read Men Are From Mars, Women Are From Venus, I didn't realize that men want to fix everything. And so when I came home from one thing and she goes, she's all, don't give me your master motivators bullshit. And it was like, okay, sometimes it's kind of interesting, but it goes back to what we said earlier, Tony, is that's their journey. I've had some pain to get where I'm at. I've had to make a lot of painful decisions in not leaving friends behind, but just realizing that some friends are going to be the friends that, like you said, hey, what's up? Same old. I have a friend of mine, love him to death. I would be there for him tomorrow, but I just can't hang around that anymore. It's just right. Like, dude, do something. And I know that I get overbearing sometimes because I want to see people succeed so badly. And I know that they're just like, shut up. I mean, my friends had to have an intervention with me one time. They're like, Chris, we just want the old Chris. We're tired of Mr. Positivity all the time.
So here's the thing that I say about that.
I was like, okay, that's good.
Yeah. Here's the thing I say about that. Don't dim your goddamn light because somebody else is uncomfortable and your light's too bright for them. I said this yesterday on somebody else's show. I said, if the light's too bright, and this isn't my line, there was a woman that says this, and I forget who it is. Otherwise, I'd give her credit. Says, if you're shining too bright and you're shining your light, disturbs their vision, hurts their eyes, tell them to put on shades, tell them to close their eyes, or tell them to turn around and walk away. Don't play small to make other people feel comfortable. Don't play down to their level. Play high and inspire them to come up to your level. And if there's those people that inevitably are going to be those people that are going to be there, that's okay, cool. Go and have a beer with them. And if negative people, hey, listen, you have, your best friend from childhood is negative as hell and you can't pull them out, or, your sister, your brother, your cousin, your neighbor, your whatever, your brother-in-law, sister, whatever is really negative. Maybe you don't go over for dinner, you go over for coffee. You spend a half hour with him. You don't spend 3 hours. You don't spend 2 days. You don't go on vacation. You don't go, write this down. You don't go on vacation with negative people. Because you know what? You're going to have to fake your way through it so that they don't feel bad. Right? Because if you're going to be yourself, then, they're like, oh, well, would have missed a big shot. Well, or whatever the conversation comes out to be. So just surround yourself with the people. And I know that this is uncomfortable. This is an uncomfortable conversation, but I have it and I'm okay with having it. The reality of it is you got to try to bring the people with you, but those that don't want to go, don't want to go. You can't help somebody that doesn't want to be helped.
Yes.
You can't help somebody that is willfully blind and refusing to see what's in front of them. Because all you do by saying, look, here it is. Look at it. It's right here. It's right here. They're going to say, you know what, Chris, get that out of my face. And now you're the bad guy, but they're the ones that are refusing to see what's right in front of them. The solution is there, but they're choosing to remain blind. And no one is more blind than someone who can see but has no vision.
Ooh, damn.
A friend of mine, not my line, a friend of mine, a blind Olympian told me that. A blind Olympian told me that.
Say that again? Say that again?
No one is more blind than the man who can see but has no vision.
Wow. That's huge. I love that. I live by quotes too, all the time.
Yeah, my life is a series of quotes. I'm telling you, watch back some of these shows. Like, holy cow, where's he getting them all?
When you change the way you look at things, the things you look at begin to change. That's about.
Dude, I love that line. I use it often. And so just to kind of bring back around, so spend less time with toxic people. Yeah. Because if somebody's going to keep you down, it's toxic. You go to the doc, you break an arm, or you go to the dentist or whatever. They take an X-ray. The X-ray is necessary. It's dangerous, but you know what? It's only for a second. And even the people that come in, they're wearing, like, they go behind a lead wall and they put lead blankets on you so that, because too much radiation is bad, but a little bit is good. A little bit can save your life. It can kill cancer. It can do this. It can do that. But overexposure can kill you. Same thing with negative people. They can kill your dreams. They can kill your goals. They can kill your future. Limit your exposure to toxicity. Right? And I'll go on to say this. If you're the smartest person in the room all the time, you're in the wrong goddamn room unless you're given a class.
Yes.
So raise your bar, raise your standard. And I'm not saying leave everyone behind. That's not what I'm saying unless it is. Right? That's not what I'm saying unless you do.
Sometimes you do. I've had to
as well. Again, it's just spending less time. It doesn't mean I don't like them. I don't love them. It just means I maybe spend less time there. There's nothing wrong with it.
I wish them well. I honestly, like when you said about you said sister, and I laughed because my 7-year-old sister, I don't talk to her anymore because she's one of those toxic people. She didn't even grow up with my mom, and she turned out exactly like her, Tony. I kid you not. She left when she was 16 years old, and I didn't see her until she was in her 40s. She was exactly like my mom. It was unbelievable. And she's like, how did you get through it, baby brother? You were homeless and you dealt with mom psychotic and And I said, and you said this, Tony, this is so funny. And I'm not even making this up. It's because I chose to be different. It's because I've read thousands of books. I've had coaches. I've been in masterminds. I've watched YouTube ad nauseum. I've gone to the library and checked out cassette tapes by Les Brown and all those guys, Zig Ziglar. That's why I'm not like mom. You chose to be a victim about that. But again, going back to what the other thing you said, Tony, was the fact that, yes, sometimes like the little seeds, that's what we're doing. And I consider that we're planting seeds. And sometimes I've had people that I've had to wish well, they come back to me 20 years later and they're like, dude, what you said to me, I hated you for, but now it's one of the greatest things you said because it's haunted me ever since then. And I've slowly become a different person. I just wanted to reach out and say thank you. So that's the way I look at it. It's planting seeds. And when it's their time and it's their part of the journey, then maybe they'll catch.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't know if I'm the one lagging. One of us just lagged a little bit. I don't know if it was you.
Everybody's using the internet these days.
Yeah. Well, listen, the reality of it is, if you want to reap a harvest, you got to plant the seeds. You got to till the soil. You've got to do the work. So don't be upset for the results you didn't get for the work you didn't do. right? And that means in personal development and growing your life and growing your business and growing your relationship and growing you. You know, your sister, you know, as an example, you know, I'm sure that at some point she's even almost a little upset about it, right? Well, how did you make it out? You know, well, because you did the work. So don't get upset for the results you didn't get, for the work you didn't do. You've got to, it's a choice, right? Change is inevitable. Growth is optional. Life changed. Life's decisions, you know, life conditions change, but growth is optional. You've got to make the choice to take the chance to make the change. Otherwise, you know, life doesn't get better by chance. It gets better by the change. I think that's Zig Ziglar. Right? So you've got to make a choice to make the change.
Yeah.
Take Tony's
things for pain or pleasure. You do things for pain or pleasure.
And people will do much more to avoid pain than they will to gain pleasure. That's why they stay in that comfort zone that we were talking about before, because it's more comfortable to stay the victim, right? It's more comfortable because it'll hurt to own it. It'll hurt to accept responsibility. It'll hurt to say, you know what? It was me. I did it. It hurts because what other people are going to say, how, you know, that loss of love, the loss of connection. This is a really deep rabbit hole we can go into here. And we're not going to do that tonight. But certainly, you know, it's really, you know, and Cindy's saying here, you got to plant the seeds and let the dirt do its work. I'm going to share with everyone what I shared with you just before this call. You know, another quote that I love is, you know, they thought they buried us. They didn't realize we were planted. Right. And I want you to think about, and I'll share this with you. So I'm going to share this with the audience. You know, imagine a little seed. A seed gets planted or gets buried, gets put in the dirt, gets buried, and it thinks, oh my God, I'm buried. I'm dead. I'm in the ground. It's dark. It's cold. But it gets comfortable, right? It gets comfortable in its environment. Now it's comfortable. And one day, you know, it starts to feel this pressure, and it thinks, oh my God, I'm dying. This pressure, and all of a sudden crack. And I'm like, oh my God, I'm dying. I'm in so much pain. And then they crack and it's still dark and now it's wet. And before you know it, they feel these things happening. They don't know what's happening. And then poof, they break out of the ground and they start to grow into something else. They start to grow, germinate, and become a tree, become a plant to bear fruit, right? When we're all technically we're all seeds and we're all growing, but you can choose to grow into a tree, or into a weed. You can be something productive, or you could be not, right? But we all grow through this, and that sometimes we're buried. We think we're buried, but we've been planted. We think we're in a dark place and we're in pain. But just when it gets the worst, where it's almost unbearable, that is the point that you're going to break out. That is the point of breakthrough. Right. So if you're in a dark place right now, dude, I love that. I have that on a screensaver somewhere. Absolutely.
I keep it right in front of me. I keep it right in front of me because you just never know how close you are. Dude, it's funny you mention that because my wife bought a caterpillar set that turns into butterflies. I encourage everybody out there to get this thing. It's a cup of caterpillars. It's amazing. And you're just talking about it. They come in little babies, and we got it for our son, but us adults are totally enamored with it. And it talks about how they grow and they feed, and then they go into the cocoon stage. And guess what? They become butterflies. We get to watch that whole thing happen. That's an analogy for our lives. It's like you have to go through the struggle to become a butterfly. Some people are born with it and all that other stuff. That's like you and I were talking about becoming a coach. You know, you got these people that are taking these courses like, okay, I'm a coach. For me, somebody asked me a couple of weeks ago, like, why should I pick you over my coach over this other person? I said, well, what kind of story does that other person have? Well, I really don't know. I said, well, here, let me just tell you a little bit about my backstory, and you just tell me who you want on your team. Somebody who's been through the stuff and who has guided people out of the stuff, or somebody who read about it in a book. So the transformation process is amazing, but you have to go through it. And one of the things I really want the listeners here to catch is the fact that ask yourself, what is your why? And if you don't know what your why is, then that's the best place to start is like, okay, what am I doing here? Am I a parent? Am I a leader? What is the legacy I want to leave? And in 2008, I did not know what my why was. I did not know where I was going. I was just going at it. And I went to a funeral, and God's honest truth, I was there, and I just said, okay, if I died tomorrow, who would show up and what would they say about me? And from that point, Tony, I got mission critical. I went home and I wrote my eulogy, and the end of it essentially has never changed. It says, Christopher Rausch will have fought for what was right and what was fair. He will risk for which that mattered, and he will leave the earth a better place for who he was and what he did. From that point forward, Tony, then I started Master Motivators. Then I started getting into coaching. I started taking it seriously. And every day I just wake up and I say, is that my mission? Is that my legacy? And you get through that. But you have to understand that there's going to be struggles. There's going to be things that are going to change throughout your life, but you have to look at them as those opportunities. You have to look at them as, is this something I'm going to regret later on down the road because I did not take this opportunity? I did not jump. I did not go experience these things. So my value to you guys today is to really sit there and decide, A, what it is that you want and why, and then determine, okay, what are going to be the potential obstacles? Because often we sit there and say, okay, I want to become, the speaker. I want to own a private island. Okay. What are obviously the plans that are going to get us there, but what are the things that might screw us up? Who are the people that we need to have on our team? And what are some of the other things that we need to do to become resourceful to make that happen? You guys will have a phenomenally unstoppable life. And once you get out of your way and you stop living in the past or projecting out into the future, and you just start staying in the moment, and you plan in the moment, and you live from your heart in the moment of what it is that you want to accomplish and that you want to live for and you want to be remembered for, that's powerful stuff to stay unstoppable.
That's it. Listen, figure out your why and how unfolds if your why is strong enough. Another great quote by the great man himself, Les Brown. I heard him say this about 2-3 weeks ago on a show that I was listening to on a group that I'm involved, which I'll tell you about offline, or we're not offline. It's Unblinded Sales Mastery with Sean Callaghan. He's got this morning huddle at 8:30 every morning, 8:30 in the morning Eastern, where he brings, again, it's just sharing with people. And actually Les Brown was there as a speaker, and I'll tell you about it offline. Or if anybody has any questions, they could DM me. I'll let you know about it and share the link for the huddles. But anyway, the thing, because we're running out of time, the thing that he said is live a life that will outlive you. And I'm like, damn, that's deep. So what is your why? And if your why is strong enough, the how will unfold. And it might not unfold. Don't figure out your why now and the why unfolds tomorrow. Sometimes it takes you a year or 2 years for you to figure out what that is. There's so many great stories of perseverance, of growth, of getting from point A to point B through odds that are unsurmountable, that you'd never, no way, there's not going to make it, but there's and those comeback stories are the ones that really inspire us, right? Those Rocky stories, and maybe that's you right now, and know that these stories are true and these things do happen, and you can get to the other side of whatever it is. What I invite you to do right now is write down your why. What is your why? In other words, what if you were to die tomorrow, what would you like to leave as your legacy today? When somebody goes to your funeral, they want to say, oh my God, so-and-so, she was this, or he was so that, can you believe he managed to get here or there, or the impact? What impact do you want to leave? Is your life going to be an example, or is it going to be a warning?
Ooh, I like that.
So make that decision. What's your why? Write it down right here, right now. What's your why? And if you don't know what it is yet, sleep on it and think about that. Just keep meditate on it. Do whatever you've got to do on it. What is your why? Because that's important. It's one of the most important things you can do is figure out why it is that you want what you want. Why do you want that private island? Why do you want the $10 million? Why do you want, that job? Why do you want that relationship? Which that's a whole nother conversation. But why do you want what you want? What's your why? What's your end game? What's the impact that are you looking to make an impact on globally, or what is it that you're looking to do? So just a couple of questions for you to really wrap your head around. But that's a great starting point. What is your why? Yeah, Cindy just wrote down here again. Live a life that will outlive you.
Yeah, I got to spend 3 days with Les Brown. Geez, probably about 6 or 7 years ago. I attended his speaker boot camp. I've got some cool pictures. He didn't understand the bandana. This is after I used to be a suit and tie speaker doing the whole thing. And then I just decided I wanted just to be me. And so I went to Les Brown's training in my style that I am. And he was like, each of the speakers had to get up there and kind of give a brief introduction. And I got up there, and my brief introduction was supposed to be like 10 minutes, and it wound up being 55 minutes. Les Brown was like, man, you're a great speaker, but I can't put you on stages looking like that. And we had a great time. But the funny thing is he couldn't get the bandana. The last day, I have a few pictures. Actually, he interviews me on my YouTube channel. There's some cool videos where Les Brown's interviewing me, which was amazing because that guy was my next to Tony Robbins dude that got me out of my stuff. Yeah. So be able to send that. He's like, you got one of those bandanas for me, Mr. Kickass? So I'm so proud of this because I've got some of these famous people wearing bandanas that they're just being themselves. But Les Brown is just a phenomenal soul. And, that's,
well, he's on my list to be on my show. I haven't got confirmation yet, but I've messaged him and we'll see. I gotta make a couple more calls on that.
That would be good. That'd be good.
Yeah. I he doesn't know, but he's on my schedule already. So are a few other people.
Nice. I would love to talk to him and see if he remembers me. He probably
Yeah,
does.
no, I'm gonna get him on, and when I get him on, I'll have you pop in here as well.
Yeah.
So listen, another question that I guess I'd want to ask you, but really ask the audience for you to ask yourself is, what do you want to leave behind? What was your life about? What do you want to leave behind? Maybe another question to answer that what's your why is, what do you want to be remembered for?
Mm-hmm.
What do you want people to remember about you? I love there was I guess a study that was done under old retirement homes, where hospice and things of that, and not in retirement homes, hospices, very different things.
5 regrets of the dying. Didn't
mean to bring the two in the same line, but in hospices, and they asked people that were on their deathbed, what do you feel? What are you thinking about? What do you wish you had done more of? Not one person said, I wish I had spent more time at work. Not one person said, oh, I wish I had bought another 10 properties. Not one person said, I wish I had sold another 10 properties, another 10 companies. Nobody says, I wish I had spent more time at work. If only I could have worked more. If only I could have made more money. Yep. Nobody says that. What they say is, I wish I had spent more time with my kids. Yeah. I wish I had spent more time with my family, with my loved ones, with my husband, with my wife, with my spouse, with my lover. I wish I had spent more time in nature. I wish I had spent more time connecting spiritually. I wish I had done more things. I wish I had visited more places and had more experiences. Nobody says, I wish I had more work.
Mm-hmm. It's a phenomenal book. It's called The 5 Regrets of the Dying. I read that book. That book will inspire you and scare the shit out of you at the same time. But yeah, it's absolutely true. It's exactly what I tell people is like, that's why they say, how do I get to be just me? I'm like, well, that's the biggest regret of everybody, that they've sat there and said, oh, I became an attorney because my father wanted it. I became a doctor because of this one. I became a housewife because my husband wanted it. It's like regrets can be the biggest asset in your life to say, okay, I don't want to regret where I look at myself 20 years from now and say, wow, Chris, you could have done so much more. You could have achieved so much more and you didn't. So that's like my driving force. I have my legacy and then I have my regrets. Did I move the needle today on my legacy? Did I impact lives? Did I fight for what's right and what's fair? When you do that every day, ladies and gentlemen, life is pretty kick-ass. Life is pretty fun. And when you're in the moment and you celebrate the moment and you're in gratitude, we didn't even get to gratitude. Good Lord. So many people are ungrateful for the simple things like turning on a shower or taking a shit. It's amazing.
That's it.
Tony and I are here to talk to you today and bring you the value so that you guys take action on that and you go out and share it out with other people and you get that team together. You plant those seeds, you decide what it is and where that you're going, and you have some magnificent conversations and you get some excitement built around that. I mean, that's what's fired me up in this time of craziness and uncertainty, that I know that personally, me and some of these great people that I'm working with, including yourself, we're going to come out of this and we're going to still bring value to the world in such a different space and hopefully unite and join everybody, because this is the first time that we're all going through something together. And that's one of my hugest passions, Tony, is the fact that we're all the same: black, white, straight, gay, short, tall, Republican, whatever label you want to put on it. You rip us down the middle. We're all the same. We all want the same thing from every aspect of life. I have friends all over the world and we all want the same thing. We all believe in the same thing. We just say it a little bit differently.
We're all red on the inside. Does that mean everybody's a Republican on the inside? Never mind.
That's why I have red and blue lamps. Do you notice that?
Oh, that's good. I like that. Both sides of it. Yeah. Hey, all those colors are on the flag, right? The red, the blue, and I'm probably more the white. I'm kind of like in between, more the neutral. Not that I'm that neutral, but I'm more of a. Anyway, I'm more of a
open-minded person,
libertarian, I guess, or what's the catchphrase? I don't even know what it is. But in any event,
good person. That's the way I look at it.
What's that?
A good person. That's the way I look at it. I hate
thank you. Same with you, which is why I had you come on, because I know that this would be a great conversation. I hope everybody got a lot of value out of it. So I just welcome everybody to really just step into your greatest self. Look at things from a different perspective. Because I know that that's something that Chris talks about a lot. Look at something from a different perspective of the other person. Look at something from a different perspective for you to understand. Maybe the bad things that have happened to you in your life are guiding you to where you want to go. Maybe the bad things that are happening now are waking you up. Cindy said here, Corona had come to help reset our priorities. That to many people it has. It's gotten a lot of people to connect in a lot of different ways, to connect to themselves, the opportunity to learn, to grow, to be and do more. So I hope everybody's taking this opportunity, and I hope everybody enjoyed this conversation that we've had today. Any last thoughts from you, Chris? And let everybody know where to find you if they want to reach out. And, I know you've got a fantastic podcast, and if they want to reach out, ask you some questions about coaching, just drop that in, if you will.
Sure. No, Tony, it's been a huge thrill to do this with you, because you get it. You understand it. I mean, I'm on radio shows and podcasts all the time, and I love having that energetic conversation where it's back and forth. And I walked away with things like, oh yeah, that's awesome. I love that perspective. To get a hold of me, it's super simple. Christopher@ChristopherRausch.com. Super simple. RAUSCH. Go to ChristopherRausch.com. You can see all sorts of things by different coaching or speaking, but best thing is just to reach out to me, connect with me on Facebook. I'd love to have a conversation with you. No obligation, nothing like that. I just love meeting people and talking to people and setting them up for success. That's my joy in this world. If I can earn a living at it and do some great things with my family, that's awesome. That's just icing on the cake. But final words, I would say you're only limited by the parameters of your own mind. That's what my mentor said to me at 17 years old when I was smoking cigarettes and dating his daughter and partying and doing drugs. He says, Christopher, you're only limited by the parameters of your own mind. And that guy, Bill White, was such an instrumental person in my life that when he passed away, I gave the eulogy at the funeral after I was already divorced from his daughter, by the way. And his family said, we want you to continue giving that quote out, but we want you to own it for yourself. But such a magnificent quote. You're only limited by the parameters of your own mind. So just believe in yourself, do for yourself, and just have the right people on your support team. Continue tuning into shows like this, and you will create the life that you want. I promise you. Absolutely.
Surround yourself with great people, and you'll become the sixth, right?
It's so true. It's amazing.
Yeah. So anyway, I appreciate your time, brother. Don't hang out here for a minute. I appreciate everyone that came on here, shared your time with us today. I hope you got the value that we wanted to bring today. Thank you very much for watching. Thank you for sharing, and thank you for subscribing to the YouTube channel, #GetUpNGrow. I appreciate all of you. Remember, my friends, that life is not about how many times you fall. It's about getting up after every fall. You fall down 7 times, you get up 8, and it's in falling that you learn. It's in getting up that you grow. And every single time you fall, you have the opportunity to get up and grow. And then when you do get up and grow, make sure you reach back and help somebody else do the same. I appreciate all of you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. That's it for today. Ciao for now.
Thank you, Tony. You rock, brother.
You too, brother.